Good morning, everybody. I've been coming to GRD for about 15 years now, and this is the very first time I've addressed a class or an online class or done a workshop um, with the aid of this new phenomenon that has already existed and is now coming into a whole new level of utility because of the pandemic. What can you say about pandemic branding? Before pandemics, we used to talk of catastrophe brands. We used to talk of brands that come to the surface in a completely new way when its consumers or its customers are facing an unprecedented degree of catastrophe in their lives. Um, we have on this world today an unprecedented, that word is being used too much these days, an unprecedented degree of catastrophe. Somewhere I have read that if you took all the COVID 19 viruses currently alive on this planet and put them into a box, that box could not weigh more than 1 kg. We talk of COVID 19 as if we understand it. The fact of the matter is, this is a novel coronavirus, which means it's a new one. It's also a zoonotic, which means it has jumped from one species to another, from animals to us. And in this entire scenario, we are watching all of humankind required to deal with each other in a completely new way, in a way that probably has not been experienced before, because the last pandemic that happened about 100 years ago and did not have instantaneous global media transmission, social media, digital. It did not have any of these things. It came, it went, and it's in the history books. But this time, our experience of this pandemic is that much more global, simultaneous, and personal, because we sit solo in front of a screen and we interact with it. And while the pandemic has started and social media has taken on a completely new meaning, we are able to participate, fortunately, for our safety, unfortunately, for our peace of mind. We are able to participate in a completely different dimension in what is happening to us. I was thinking before this class started, it is a known medical fact that parts of the human brain will shut down during the trauma caused by a pandemic. I was thinking parts of your brain may have shut down because of the trauma caused by the pandemic. This is your problem. Part of my brain may have shut down because of the trauma caused by the pandemic. And you have no choice but to listen to me speak. No, jokes aside, what has happened, and it is worthy for us to consider pandemic branding, this in terms of pandemic branding. What has happened involves the existence of all humans on earth in a completely different level. Look at the speed at which catastrophe has overrun us. Look at the countries that have fallen to it. We speak of first world, third world. We speak of the West and the East. Somehow, when we speak of first world and the West, we are talking about technological prowess, sophistication, speed, power. When we are talking of the East and third world, at best, we're talking of ancient cultures, meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, whatever you want to name. But this virus, for the very first time, has moved from the East. It's a brand. And the third world, another brand. To the West, a brand. And you can go so far as saying it has brought the first world to its knees. Amazing, amazing. There have been unusual developments in the light of what is happening. We are all aware of how the World Health Organization, an enormous global, respected, revered brand, has been, what shall we say, has found itself in an extraordinary controversy. For decades now, the World Health Organization has been the principal people, organization, tool with which humankind has responded to critical health crises anywhere in the world. The announcements, the definitive announcements about Ebola and SARS in the last few world were made by the World Health Organization. The definitive efforts were spearheaded by the World Health Organization. And today we have this bewildering controversy surrounding the World Health Organization and the extraordinary act of the United States in cutting ties with it. These are astonishing, stupefying, frightening developments. Take the pandemic. It's possible that you knew the word epidemic. How much did we know the word pandemic? What does it mean? What does it mean when you take a country like Italy, which has all this fantastic fashion and design brand equity, and then suddenly we are hearing of the extraordinary amounts of deaths? Italy was the first country to absolutely face the brunt of the COVID-19. As things progressed, we found out that the city of Wuhan has direct flights with Italy, and possibly this was an unfortunate conduit for the way in which the virus swept the country. A little later, we found out that possibly one of the reasons is, and this is a brand issue, the Italian social ethic prizes its old people, and children maintain contact with their parents, their grandparents, their grandaunts and uncle. And this may have been a key reason why the virus spread with such speed in Italy. Then, to our astonishment, we saw the virus land on the shores of the most powerful country on earth. We know so many facts about the United States, good facts, facts that we hold in very high reference. And, facts like the United States has 20 aircraft carriers. The next country with aircraft carriers has a total of 2. What are you going to do with a country that has such a magnificent, fantastic, fabulous array of military power for its defense? And this virus arrives. And suddenly, the United States is reeling from it. All innocent people, the virus riding on the backs of innocent travel, innocent passengers, innocent citizens, innocent contacts. We're now facing a world where you can't shake hands with anybody. Dr. Ram has a frequent visitor to GRD, a lady who does a irresistible and absolutely undeniable presentation on the golden handshake. I learned how to shake hands all over again because of this presentation at GRD, which I saw for the first time and the only time at GRD. We are now living in a world where you're not supposed to shake hands with anybody. What do you do if you are in charge of a brand and you have a pandemic and the absolutely unusual restrictions placed on you for your own protection and safety. What do you do with all the powerful cosmetic brands when everybody should be wearing a mask? What do you do with all the clothing brands when everybody should be wearing protective equipment? What do you do with disinfectants, sanitizers, personal sanitary products that we otherwise merely indulged in? If you did better in life, you had a couple of sanitizers and you pointedly cleaned your hands with them in the middle of a day. Now you're supposed to do it every 30 minutes, or is it 20? Everybody agreed washing your hands was a very good idea. Now there is a 20-second procedure with which you wash your hands. Everybody sings happy birthday with great joy and great happiness whenever there is a birthday among your friends or your family. Now you learn that the proper amount of time which you wash your hands is the duration it takes to sing happy birthday to you. So there are millions of us standing at our sinks doing something to the effect of happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. Kind of changes the entire mentality and the significance with which we view things. Last night, I was doing some research on how brands have pivoted to make use of the pandemic. Does that sound cruel? Does that sound a bit too businesslike? But I want to tell you today that every brand should view the pandemic as a chance with which to further its equity by doing something spectacular, fabulous, noble for them, for us. What are some of the things that have been done? We know Elon Musk at Tesla has got all his engineers together to design a new ventilator. A friend of mine said, if I'm going to be put on a ventilator, I would rather be put on a Tesla ventilator. We know that many cosmetic companies around the world have used their production lines and tweaked them in a matter of days so they can produce vast amounts of sanitizer and personal disinfecting fluids. We know unusual individual acts of what you have to call heroism during the pandemic. There are a group of people from the Lego company who have been stranded because Wuhan is under quarantine and lockdown. And they have used this time and their talents as designers to produce a series of comic books and release them online so children will have that much more delightful way to spend their time during this time. Some of the biggest motor car companies in the world have taken to producing ventilators, masks. Jaguar Land Rover is producing masks with 3D printing. It's absolutely extraordinary what companies are doing. Yet, I have a question to ask you. We are aware of an extraordinary amount of work that is happening. Are you aware of any company that has captured the imagination of the world with a unprecedented, totally imaginative, completely novel way in which to advance their brand? During the first few weeks of the pandemic, many global brands produced extremely saccharine, self-serving Treacly commercials about unprecedented crises. We should hang in together. We should take care of each other. They are there for you. And they were quickly shouted down by social media. And the kind of, I saw an edit on social media of a complete mashup of all the commercials that were happening, and they looked like one extraordinary, very distressing stream of the same kind of emotion that was being expressed by everybody. Of course, that got called out, shouted down by social media. And then we have also seen at the same time that the only dominant media at this point of time was social. And just about every single brand in the world has switched to expressing all its communication messages on social media. Can you remember of the time when people were talking of social media as a waste of time? Said it's one of those stupid things children do. Can you remember of the time when Twitter started, when everybody said it would fail? Facebook started, everybody said this nonsense will get over, just like MySpace and just like Orkut. Can you remember a time when all kinds of doomsday predictions were made, all under the rubric of the irrelevance? This is a wonderful little unexpected moment in my presentation. We've all been to school, we've all been to college, we've all sat in classrooms, we've all sat in auditoriums while a visiting speaker was speaking to us. We have never told a teacher or a visiting speaker, could you please unmute yourself? And there is an entire array of new little phenomenons that are overtaking us at this time. In the normal course like this of a class, there is an extraordinary amount of back and forth riding on the back of technologies that have come to the fore because we've been locked down in a pandemic. Brands are struggling very hard to make good, honest, worthy use of the new kind of social power given to them for expression on social media. You probably are seeing a variety of messages from a variety of brands. If you were to go to buy a new car today, the last, or before the pandemic started, the very last thing a car showroom will tell you is that, welcome, we are sanitized. You would, if they said to you, be a little mystified as to what they are saying. Very, very rarely, if they sent the car to your home for a test drive, which a lot of them do, would they tell you our car is arriving completely disinfected and sanitized. Before the pandemic started, your answer would be, why are you mentioning this? After the pandemic started, you will be saying, I was waiting for you to say that. Our lives have changed. Our lives have changed and new brands have come up. Most of us vaguely knew about Zoom. We knew about WhatsApp. We knew about WhatsApp video. We used WhatsApp video a lot. We kind of knew about Zoom. Those of us who were working knew about Microsoft Teams, Cisco WebEx, GoToMeetings. Suddenly, they've become the default way of communication. Our schools, our colleges, our companies, our institutions will say, we should meet. I'll send you a Zoom link. We should meet. Please send me a Teams link or an invite. How our language has changed. How our way of communicating has changed. Notice that before the pandemic, the default favorite way of seeing and speaking to somebody was WhatsApp video. After the pandemic, we may use WhatsApp video for personal calling, but the voice and chat mechanism that is being used increasingly is the more quote unquote serious, quote unquote official, quote unquote professional way of communicating. Who assigned these importances? Some of these importance came from the structure of the application itself. Some of these importance came from the fact that these voice and video chats used to be legacy systems inside the companies. But yet, observe all around you. The meaning of so many things has completely changed. Day before yesterday, I got a message on my WhatsApp saying that very soon maids will be allowed to come back to work at the houses. So here are the following stipulations, and please download Arogya Setu to make it possible for your maid to come. Today I got a message saying this is unfair to women maids. These issues are coming to the fore. If we look at the news, if we look at what is happening in the United States, it is stupefying to see that every single piece of news coming out of the United States was about the battle the United States was facing with the pandemic. Somebody pointed out the other day that since that poor black man lost his life and since the country erupted in so many riots, we've not heard a word about COVID-19 from the West. All the news channels seem to be completely covering the heart-rending developments on American soil. Then again, the whole idea of racial discrimination, the whole idea of racial equality, the whole idea of protesting, it is all happening under a cloud called a pandemic. Maybe this was the tipping point. We don't know. That country is worthy of our prayers as we are worthy of our prayers. Look at India and look at all the word cloud that is happening in terms of the pandemic. We have the pandemic. We're talking of lockdown. We're talking of quarantine. Suddenly we are talking of typhoon. Then we are talking of earthquake. Then we are talking of locusts. It is extraordinary. This is not a workshop on what is happening to our lives. This is very carefully a workshop on pandemic branding because these words have taken on new shades of emotional intensity. New shades of emotional intensity. What is a brand's equity composed largely of emotional intensity? Why does one person like Coca-Cola and one person like Pepsi? It's an emotional choice. Why does one person like Jaguar and one person like Land Rover? And why are those two people so different from each other? It's an emotional, personal choice. Why do I like coming to Coimbatore? Because Dr. Ram is there. It's an emotional choice. Why did I like flying this airline? Why did I like flying that airline? It is in so many ways an emotional choice. We're going to face brands struggling to gain new shapes and spaces and meanings. I'll give you a very simple illustration. In January this year, a very dear friend of mine came to Mumbai to visit. He decided to fly Air India. To my delight, he found the flight in and out a perfectly delightful experience. He said he had never been so pampered and he was flying economy. What was the price of a New York, Mumbai, New York ticket return? In January, $750. Last week, I heard that because of disinfection, because of sanitization, because of the necessity of wearing masks, because of the necessity of equipping crew with protective gear, because of the necessity of keeping the middle seat vacant, what is the what is going to be the price of a simple economy New York Mumbai New York return ticket? $2,300. What exactly does a brand do, airline brand do, at a time like this? When $2,300 becomes the very least you have to pay to go to New York and come back. What does Singapore Airlines do? What does Air India do? What does Emirates do? What does Turkish do? There were so many developments, for example, in aviation that were exciting. Sorry, did somebody say something? Okay. The Turks have a completely new, ultra-modern, state-of-the-art airport. That airport requires to build its brand. That airport sees itself in direct competition with Dubai Airport. There are other airports in the region that would like to siphon off some of the passenger traffic that comes to and from Dubai. What do all of them do as a brand when there are no planes flying? Just when we discuss pandemic branding, we shouldn't discuss it like armchair vocalizers. We should discuss it with an extremely realistic appreciation of what is branding being challenged by. When the pandemic started, the International Air Travel Association said it expected that the global aviation industry would lose $153 billion in 2020. 3 weeks later, they said, given the speed, spread, and depth of the pandemic and the impact it would have on aviation, it is expected that the international aviation industry will lose $253 billion in 2020. The chairman of Boeing, one of the two most powerful aircraft manufacturing brands in the world, gave an interview about 2 weeks ago and that said, according to his calculation, a major American airline will shut down before September. This led to an extraordinary amount of guesswork as to who that airline was. We all know that the American airline industry has faced 10 years so far of unstoppable profitability. It was brought to a halt in just a couple of weeks of the pandemic beginning. Delta, United, American Airlines, huge names, fleets with hundreds of airplanes, Boeing, Airbus. All these brands pivoted and attempted in one way or the other to provide something to alleviate humankind's suffering during the pandemic. And in that way, they have purchased irreplaceable equity because of the gratitude offered by them. You know, one of the most heroic airlines in the world, the one that has worked with the least amount of sound and the maximum amount of hard work and heroism during the pandemic to bring its people home, Air India. Suddenly, nobody talks of Air India the way they usually talk about Air India. It's fashionable to complain about the airline. But at a time like this, we find out what is the full extent of the service provided by the airline, the Indian government can conduct and sustain spectacular amounts of Indian citizens being bought back because the airline is able to perform to such a spectacular degree. One hopes when all this has dimmed down and when all this has died, that Air India will be given the credit that it has long been denied. What have we heard of Air India in the last year? That there were two successive attempts to privatize it and both failed. What does it matter? We owe Air India. And by saying this, you will find the feeling unusual to hear it. We owe Air India an eternal debt of gratitude for the kind of salvific work that they keep doing when the country is desperately in need of them. If an economy class ticket, Mumbai, New York, Bombay, is going to cost $2,300, I wonder what a business class ticket will cost. I wonder what a first class ticket will cost. This is extraordinary. We are seeing pictures of entire airports with planes parked like rickshaws. These are huge aircraft. They cost hundreds of millions of dollars per aircraft. Airlines. How do you counsel an airline about its brand during a pandemic? And after this is over, what will we say of L'Oreal? They make great hand sanitizers in time. What will we say about Tesla? I know somebody whose life got rescued because of a ventilator made by an Elon Musk company. Do you like Jaguar or do you like Land Rover? I really like their face masks. Our entire ability to be able to evaluate and value and respect and be edified by brands is going to undergo a sea change. Would one of you say that things will return to normal? There is an entire dimension where we will want things to return to normal. We will pretend they're back to normal. We will enforce an old normalcy on a new time. We will do everything possible to either return to what we used to call normal or get comfortable with what will be called normal. What will be the key brands of that time? No longer can very simply a student be penalized for campus attendance negligence because he'll say the classes are online. It's so interesting. I hear students are replacing their video feed with their profile picture. This is bunking all over again. Bunking is a nice brand. It's going to take on completely new pandemic significances. When Wuhan was locked down, the schools quickly released an app to continue with the education of the students. One very bright student in Wuhan a couple of months ago called all his friends and told them to downvote the app on Play and iStore, iApps on the Apple platform. And very soon, because of the automatic downgrading system, the app was no longer available. Students are smart. Student intelligence will find new things with which to solve old problems. Schools, that is very interesting. So many schools and colleges maintain pristine and exquisite and gorgeous campuses because that is a huge draw. Glossy pictures of those campuses look wonderful in the brochures of those colleges and schools. Are we ready really to return to a world where those physical campuses are completely irrelevant? Will we really see the day when large campuses will become ghost towns? These are all very interesting questions. With this workshop today, I did not attempt, I would be foolish to, I did not attempt to give solutions to brands that have been caught unawares by the pandemic. What I wanted to start, what I wanted to create with this class was a keen awareness, number one, of the quandary that brands are suddenly facing, of the solutions that they are finding, of the new shades of meanings that are being given to them in the way they function in such a tight, restrictive, cruel time. But I want to conclude with one very important observation. It's not that we are facing pandemic brands for the first time. We faced them before. I'll give you three catastrophe brands that don't exist with any alarm in your life. Home, Appa, and Amma. In times of crises, the first thing you want to do is go home. The first person you want to see that will give you reassurance is Appa. The first person who will provide you with some sustenance for your soul and your stomach is Amma. We are accustomed to pandemic branding. You have a best friend who you always go to for help. They have a place in your mind and your heart that is parallel to the kind of brand that has the kind of meaning in times of crises. As the days go by, we are going to see brands that will be rewarded for the effort they put to drop their business agendas and be of service to humankind at this difficult time. Jaguar, Land Rover, Tesla, Lego. These are brands that I just mentioned. Can I crack a joke? Maybe 3 years from now, somebody will say, why do you want to fly business to New York for a meeting? Why don't you just do it on Zoom or Microsoft Teams? And you'll tell your boss, why are you saying that? Is there a pandemic? It's a good question. Part of our vocabulary will become, what do you want to do that for? That's what you do when there's a pandemic. There's no pandemic now. These are questions you'll have to take into account. Which are the brands that will be revered, celebrated, granted an increase in equity because they were pointedly of use to us in a crippling time? And this is very important. Which are the brands that openly and obviously bore an enormous cost, possibly came close to skirting a loss, but they pivoted and reorganized their people and their company to be of significant service? The Asian Paints Company, right at the beginning of the pandemic, flat out announced that it was not going to cut salaries, nor was it going to shirk from giving their employees a raise. Suddenly, The Asian Paints brand line, Har Ghar Kuch Kehta Hai, takes on a completely new level of resonance with our hearts. These guys know what a home is all about. The next time I have to choose a paint to paint the walls of my house, and at the back of my mind, I am thinking, this is going to be my home. This is my home. Paint, home, salary. The connections have the connections have been made. All these water companies, I'd like to see them take giant refrigerated trucks and move across town, giving out large bottles of clean, sanitized water to people who are trapped in slums in bastis, making sure that the basic water, probably some food. I would invite all these companies to give away packets of wafers, chips. People are sitting and watching television. They would really value the little joys, the little tastes that allow them to feel like not everything is lost. Not everything is lost. That are working very hard and doing everything within their power to give all their people the same salary that they were earning before the pandemic started. As a company, they will be blessed by their employees. That company's brand will be built so much. I'm going to crack a joke. Maybe there's no need for HR anymore because people will be so grateful to the companies that took care of them. We have this phrase in Hindi, मेरे घर का चूल्हा जलते रहेगा. You will look at people who have done something for you that kept you going at a time like this. And it's all part of that world of brands, meanings, significances, intense personal emotions that makes, shall we say, life worth the living. So many people have lost their lives in the pandemic. So many people. We are facing, like never before, the reality that this capricious, ruthless, relentless, non thinking COVID 19 could touch us at any time. This is a good time to think of pandemic branding and not to think of it only in terms of making some cunning or inventive use of this time to give your brand a shade of meaning, but to take this opportunity and buy for your brand an authenticity, a credibility, a dimension of care, compassion, something that will make people tell themselves, I am going to go with this brand because they stayed with me. Okay. We are keeping 10 minutes for questions, if there are any. And there should be many. And I would be more than happy to help you and comment on them. Any questions?
Thank you, Al. In fact, I've seen you speaking in different forums. Maybe the first one, I'm seeing you with a presentation which is so disciplined, brother. I mean, like there is no movement of the entire. I mean, like you use videos to everything in your presentation, but maybe this is the first time I'm seeing you this way, brother.
Ram,
Yes.
I'll show you my tattoos just for old time's sake. I saw Sayuj Ravindran is here.
Yes. This forum has got our alumni, our current students, and our faculty. There are almost close to 135 participants in this forum. To start with, I've got a question, and all those who've got a question can either raise your hands virtually or can probably put up on the chat. To start with, I've got a question to ask you, Al. This is like two questions. How must our brands adapt to survive in this pandemic? How exactly should they adapt to survive? The second question I've got is, what should be the tone of our communications right now? I'm talking about the brand's communication.
Okay. Adaptability. I think the essence of it is to come to a realization that there can't be a textbook on adaptability. There can be best practices and best learnings, but just to give you the simplest example, there can be a textbook on how brands have reacted to crises. But what kind of crises? So are you aware? I know you're not. This is a rhetorical question. I'm not aware of a textbook that tells us how to adapt to, for example, a pandemic. What does an air conditioning brand do when a pathogen is airborne? What does a handkerchief brand do when masks are in short supply? What does a clothing brand do when the clothing itself should repulse COVID-19 or any virus sitting down on you? These textbooks have not been written. We are writing these textbooks right now in a completely new way. One thinks of so many times where there are lessons. That's a very good question, how to adapt. One thinks of so many times when there have been issues. I remember many years ago, Tylenol, which is Johnson & Johnson's headache pill. Some madman in the United States took a syringe and injected poison into hundreds of bottles of Tylenol. And there was a huge outcry and panic. And J&J did what they should do. They immediately absorbed the full cost of recalling every single bottle of Tylenol that was on any shelf in the United States, even if it was 100, 200 miles away from the place where they had located it. You know, New York has a brand. I love New York, the Big Apple. How should they as a city deal with a pandemic and the back-breaking expense it is going to bring to them in terms of visitors, tourism? New York is known as the commercial, industrial, financial capital of the world.
It's 12 o'clock.
Capital of the world, bar none. What does New York do now? What does London do? Some stipulations can be the same, but they are two countries, two cultures, two social mores. What does Amsterdam do? Hello, what does Mumbai do? What does Coimbatore do? It's very, very interesting to consider that. Ram, please remind me, what was your second question?
The question was, what should be the tone of your communication? For the brands.
No matter who the brand is, there are two elements to their communication that could happen. One, they should be seen as brands to whom their customers' lives matter. Number two, all their communication should be empathetic. All the insight should be directed towards locating exactly what is that specific fear that their customer and all the people have at this point of time. Everything should resonate with, oh, let me give you an example. I've come to you for personal help a couple of times in the last 15 years, Ram. And you've always still been Dr. Ram. Authoritative, purposeful, sure, confident, and everything you did radiated the fact that you are going to bring all your strengths and assets to bear to help me out. I think this class thinks I came to you to borrow money. I didn't do that. But the thing is, everything that was KKR was there. But what was your language with me? What was your tone of voice with me? And what was your physical presence with regard to mine? Your hand was on my shoulder. You were standing right next to me, and you were speaking in a tone that was not KKR. It was the tone of a brother. So brands would like to do that, should do that too. They should say, we are where we are because of you. We have what we have because of all the investments of all the people, our customers and our people have put into it. But we are going to lay it all out at your feet to ensure that you emerge from this not just alive, but triumphant, but ready to take on what everybody is calling the new normal. If someone were to ask me, what is the biggest pandemic brand that has arisen after the pandemic started, I would say it is a 3-word phrase called the new normal. People are ascribing all kinds of wonders to it, and they're pinning their hopes and they're discussing it and they're studying it, even though it's not here. But that is because we have this so much desperation that, okay, we will adapt to a new normal, but can that new normal be removed from the kind of world of pain, random suffering that we are seeing around us? So that would be my answer.
Well, Sayuj Ravindran, both of us know him. I mean, for the audience, he passed out from GRD's MIB program in 2009. He has raised his hand and he wants to ask a question. Sayuj, could you unmute your video and audio and go ahead?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Sayuj.
Hi, Al, how are you?
Very good. Good to see you again.
Yes, same here. Like Sir said, I don't know if it is because I'm listening to you after ages or if it's the pandemic effect. But clearly, there is a change in the brand Alvin as well, or your session. So my question is, at the helm, pandemic Alvin, right. So my question is, at the helm of Spark 44, what changes do you see in the way that your clients approach to you with their branding strategies, even in the way they communicate to you? What changes do you see?
There's a first of all, I'm not really at the helm of Spark 44. There is a gentleman named Ejaz Khan. He's the managing director. You should all follow him on LinkedIn. He's a colleague of mine of many years standing, and he's the source of tremendous leadership for Spark 44 India. But then Spark 44 is a global company and very specialized one. So it's very interesting to see the kind of fearsome global intelligence being brought to bear. First, for the safety and welfare of Spark 44 people, and immediately after, for the safety and the welfare of the brands assigned to us. There is a tremendous amount of thinking going on. It's not that obvious in a pandemic to say, I have an insight, this is a time of crisis. People are in pain. People are feeling torture. People are feeling insecurity. No. A tremendous amount of thinking is being done internally as well as externally. And one of the lessons I learned from watching this fabulous organization function is that when it pivoted at full speed and went 100% in the new direction. Every single company is doing that. Far be it from me to suggest that people are not doing that. But the personal lesson I learned from the whole thing, and more than anything else, I don't want to make an airy brand statement. I want to conclude this session with everybody who's listening, sitting back and thinking, I'd like to be a pandemic brand at home. What can I do for Appa, for Amma, in my home for my brothers and sisters that will give them the feeling that they are better off because I am among them. You know, Appa and Amma, the brand is built fabulously during this time. How are we repaying them? Is the question I would like to ask. Children are being kept peaceably entertained, educated, fed. It is not, Sayuj, you're a father now, right?
Yes, yes, I am.
It's not understood. It's not, it's not understood completely what kind of a brutal tsunami of pressure that parents are going through. It's very easy for me to sit here and say, Appa and Amma are pandemic brands. Do you know the price they are paying? So my question for every student here today is go home and ask yourself today, what price can I pay to make it all worthwhile for my home, for members of my family? Then as a family, ask yourself, what price can I pay to make it all worthwhile for one person outside the house? Students, ask yourself, what tiny, small, easy price can I pay to express my appreciation for my teachers and my faculty? Maybe changing your profile picture. You can change your profile picture and put up a better one. Faculty, ask yourself, what price can I pay, small price, for the blessing of having students to teach despite a pandemic rolling across the planet? Everybody, think of yourself as a pandemic brand. Ask yourself the question, which is a corollary of what KKR sir said, what Sayud just said. Ask yourself a simple question. What can I do for you that you weren't expecting that will completely floor you and show you I am committed to your welfare and your happiness and your betterment much more than your best compliments had even suspected so far. Do it at home. Brands do it for their customers. There are companies that have stopped entire production lines. You know, you've heard of the fashion companies in Italy who are now designing masks and inventing sanitizers. For the first time, those companies have a good chance to be seen as a brand that is not being wasted by just cosmetic circuses and events on the face, that these brands have a heart. I worked on L'Oreal. The baseline is because I am worth it. I worked on Maybelline. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. Whoa. Because I am worth it is a wonderful sentiment to carry you as a brand to the pandemic. Because I am worth it is a wonderful goal to want to achieve with anybody. Go home tonight. Tell your Appa and Amma something. Take them something. And if you're home, do something. Let them think, because I am worth it. Reward them for having invested so much time. And I'm talking branding. I'm not giving you a lecture on being a nice child. I'm talking serious crux branding. Reward your parents. Reward your brothers and sisters. Reward your faculty. Reward your students. That is what maybe, if we could come out of this 1 hour pandemic branding workshop with that one lesson, then it would have been completely worth it.
Here is a question in the chat from Karthik. When times are good, you should advertise. When times are bad, you must advertise. The pandemic has changed consumers, world views, and brand views. Does this adage still hold good today?
With a little twist to it. Usually, this adage was supposed to mean that when the economic forecast is not all that great and you're trying to save money, consider the money you're spending on brand building to be investment that will pay 10 times its returns. But in a time like the pandemic, it pays to advertise by being of critical, undeniable, irreplaceable service to your customers. There is a tremendous amount that could have been done, maybe is being done. We are seeing just a few examples of what has been done. But yes, you should advertise in a pandemic, but advertise with important key elements. Brand them if you want. I have absolutely no problem with a company giving me something I desperately need, and if their brand was on it, with the compliments of. I don't mind at all. But how you advertise in a brand as cruel as, at a time as cruel as the pandemic, is key. A facetious, quasi-emotional statement of emotions is not advertising. Proving to be a brand that has a healthy investment and a brand that sees itself gaining only when people gain is the way to advertise. Would that do as an answer?
Yes, yes, yes. Do you have any instant approach when it comes to future disruptions like this? How exactly should a brand get prepared?
I'll tell you one thing. Post the pandemic, all the lessons learned during the pandemic will quickly be recorded and codified. There will be a completely new dimension of branding textbooks, branding learnings, branding teachings. What could be worse than a pandemic? War, all-out war. But this isn't a bit an all-out. This is a bit of an all-out war. So it is going to be very interesting to see thousands of thinkers across the world teaching us what they have learned during the pandemic. And maybe if Martin Lindstrom comes back to Mumbai, you and I will go again to see what he has to say about pandemic branding now.
Thank you so much, Al. It was, as always, very insightful. Stay safe.
Yeah.
We are seeing what Maharashtra is going through, Mumbai is going through.
It's been wonderful to be with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.